I think when people play the game and when they understand what we're really trying to do, I think they're really going to appreciate the perspective that we're giving, because we're really trying to tell the mythologies obviously from a different perspective than what people are used to. It's a science fiction, action adventure, and that in itself is a twist, but there's going to be other things as well where people go, oh, I understand what's happening now. And then once that happens, they'll put everything into a new light, and I think gamers will really, really appreciate it.
Baldur's role in Two Human is kind of set up to be the savior of mankind, but I think one of the real strengths about Baldur is he's the character that you connect with and not only sympathize with per se, but he's the guy that you can actually relate to the decisions that he's making, and he's the guy that you mostly say, you know what, if I was in that role, I'd be doing some of the things that he does.
Silicon Knights always aims to try and tell stories which have different perspectives and different outcomes than the audience is expecting. In the case of mythology, most writers will tend towards the most obvious characters. It's almost like a brand name recognition, if you will. And while we have Thor and Tyr and all the usual ones that you might be expecting, our choice of Baldur really opens up a completely new avenue of storytelling within the mythology, something that I don't think has actually been done before.
Defining a main character is very, very difficult, whether it's defining the actor to play in a movie or defining a character and showing that personality and all the aspects of that character in a video game. It's quite a challenge. When we start off in content and story, knowing that we have a god based on Norse mythology and a god that not everyone knows about. Certainly everyone knows about Thor, Loki, and perhaps even Odin, but rarely do we have someone that would know about Baldur.
We chose Baldur specifically to be the main character because it's almost like he's the perfect spectator in this massive or epic struggle between the gods and the giants.
Because Baldur's role in the mythology is so small, it's really more like the people who created the mythology are really using him just to describe a single point rather than a whole story arc. It allowed us to take more liberties with him. We could basically fill in all the details, make them up, and basically expand his character for the purpose of our game story.
On a 3D front, it was quite a challenge, of course, to take the two-dimensional concepts and try to push it towards, is that still following true with the personality of the character? There's certain aspects of the personality that we had to exaggerate a little bit in the 3D world.
One of the strengths of the Baldur character in Two Human is that there's a variety of different classes that the player can take that are really strong variations and differences on Baldur. He's got a variety of different weapons he can use, from slashing sword-based weaponry to more blunt hammer-based weaponry. He can use different varieties, two-handed weapons, dual-wield weapons, so you can actually have a hammer and shield combo or two swords.
Baldur's role in Two Human is he is the catalyst for everything pretty much in the trilogy. And all the things that he does and a lot of the things that occur around him really cascade into these massive events that he's going to have to deal with and others around him are going to have to deal with. Even though it may not garner some of the attention in the mythology as some of the other gods may receive, I think people playing it from this perspective will say, wow, this is what it all would have looked like from this perspective. And seeing it from that makes it, I think, a really interesting experience for the gamer, and something, it's a story that we really want to tell and think is important, and I think people will appreciate. Making video games is always challenging, and you always find that when you work together on tough projects, that groups often get together and do various things. So we have guys playing hockey, we have volleyball. There's all kinds of interesting clubs that we have within Silicon Knights, so that people do to just blow off steam and to have a good time, while we're working on the games, which are so challenging. Taking the human side to take a very holistic approach to the tech, and it's sort of very Twix. A lot of people recognize myself as the director and the president of Silicon Knights. I'm the spokesman for the company and the director of the project, but I'm certainly not representational of all the work that goes in from a standpoint of so many people working so hard, and it's a really interesting, living, breathing environment.
Hey, you're not dead. Hey! Get on the other side. Oh,
Very competitive in foosball, ping pong, hockey, soccer.
Okay, it's in your... Be mad, Max. I'll be Tina Turner.
What is wrong with you?
Max, I have zero confidence right now.
I think as you see these documentaries are these film clips that you'll get to know a lot of us that way.